Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on August 6, 2023 at approximately 4:31 p.m. PST. Now I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the philosophies I personally guide my life by. Now, with this in mind, this is not a question, here's some tools that may work. This is a question of these are tools that I personally have utilized, and literally thousands of others have utilized to their own benefit, depending, with variations based on their own personal effort. Now, before we get into anything, we have Chad Smith here is in with the gold. Emmy Tonga has arrived with the silver, and we have Bryson's Folly comes in with the bronze. Now, as per usual, as we have Chad in, let's see, Chad Smith. Whoa. And again, I think we did it again, didn't we? Well, he's starting off with a throat in really good shape, aren't we? Oh, well, we'll work with it. At least that's the idea. Now, this here, okay, we're always having fun with this, aren't we? Technology, it's always one of those fun things. Anyway, this here is the link to Chad's archives. Absolutely drop in, give him a listen. If you like what you hear, do give him a thumbs up and do subscribe to the channel. Then share the daylights out of it. Nathan. Okay, Nathan, how you doing? You are in with the you are in with honorable mention. Nathan, to be honest, I did receive your emails. Sad to say, I was going to respond to them before I came on, but, well, frankly, caught me about 10 minutes after I woke up, passed out due to the heat today. But Nathan, very kind of you. Thank you very much. I will go into much further detail with that once this is over. Callie, how you doing? Glad you could join us. No, I received emails this morning, but I had company. Of course, we have gaming today, and things was really a little bit trippy. But we had gaming today, and because of the heat, I went and actually laid down to try and cool off a little in front of a fan. Well, as you guys well know, you run into troubles with the heat. Well, I run into trouble with the heat at this point. Joe, welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. Yeah, it's been a little bit, shall we say, a little bit dicey, but we'll get to that momentarily. But to be clear, Nathan, without going into anything strong, solidly at this point, I will give you more. I will absolutely give you a respond to it this afternoon, or this evening rather, once I'm done this stream. But absolutely, I did receive it and absolutely accepted. Okay, I will go into that. I will go into that later. Now, with this in mind, as we know, this is an open topic, which means whatever we are talking about doesn't matter much. Well, it may matter. If you've got a question, do drop the question into the chat room, in all caps, in priority caps, even if it's just a wavy signal. Okay, just something to get my attention. And I am curious why. Ah, there we are. Figures technology would do that to me. Take that and pop that to live chat. And one of these days I'm going to remember to correct that little problem. I wonder if there's a way that I can do that. Let's see. Yeah, this thing. Here's the sigil I'm referring to if you've got a question. Doesn't matter what the question is. Okay, I will give you an answer. It may only be I'm not telling you, but I will give you an answer to it. Okay, with that in mind, I got a whole pile of things going on here, and I really should get them sorted out. So, what have we got going on? Again, I keep a pad happy. So when I've got a question, when I've got an idea or something comes up, I know exactly what I'm aiming for. And let's get this out of the way. Now, we were dealing with this before. Remember, one of the biggest things here that I would like to point out. What do we got? Joe is going, I'm watching this on my iPhone, iPhone 10. And also with you. Oh, okay. Yeah, and also with you on iPad. Last night, WWE SummerSlam 2023. I missed it. I know my youngest son was over with his mom, and I know they watched it, but I didn't catch any of it. But I am glad you're with us here. Now, this neat little thing can go back where it belongs. Okay. Don't know what I'm going to do with that, but I'll figure that out. Anyway, let's see what we can do about getting things sorted around. What do you figure? Oh, that funny little one binder. They got things you got marked down. So the first thing that we have to do, and of course, do understand this is just the way my life usually goes. Okay, what do we got here? iVoice. Keith, iVoice is asking, how you doing, iVoice, by the way? Glad you could join us. iVoice is asking, if demons really wanted to destroy humanity, like Christians say they do, how would they do it? Well, number one, we have to separate two things. Okay, and I'm going to type this into the chat room as well. We have two different entities here. Okay, we have what the Christians refer to as demons. Okay, now that's what people are talking about. Okay, now the second thing is the off-world race, which are these. We are talking two very different types of people. Okay, now, first and foremost, according to Christians, demons would simply tear the planet apart. Okay, they would kill everybody in very horrendous, torturous ways. Demons are a whole different ballgame. Okay, but ultimately, what we're talking about, if you take a look at the Christian side of things, you would be looking at these demons that would make mankind turn on each other. Well, if that's the case, then the Christians are already well on the way. Because if you'll notice, people around the world are turning on each other. You're finding new and exciting ways to separate yourselves from each other. What do we got? Yeah, Joe's going, WWE SummerSlam 2023 was in Detroit, Michigan. It was sort of a big deal to me. Detroit is about 3 hours from me. Yeah, I was in Detroit once, decades back. But I mean, it is one of these sporting events that is actually, we know it's all choreographed. We know it's all laid out. But you do have to give the artists, you've got to give them credit for their athleticism. Acting can sometimes be questionable, But take a look at Hollywood, and sometimes the acting is questionable. But no, demons on the whole will cause people, by whispering in their ears, by promising them the world, will turn people on each other, thereby enhancing or promoting greed, separation, isolation, depression, anger, fear. You notice that's happening today. The question is whether you're going to buy into it. And let us not forget the other side of that. When you're looking at demons pushing to overthrow humanity, okay, you got to remember, they're always looking at the negative side of life. But you'll notice in the Christian faith, if you turn around and pray to God, you pray to Jesus, the demons will listen. They fear Jesus. Okay, now the reality of it is, Jesus, simply put, came to earth and said, guys, be nice to each other. That was essentially the message. Okay, and ultimately, that's the backbone of the message I'm returning to bring to you once again. Be nice to each other. Okay, karmic law is simple. Be true to yourself first. If you desire to be treated decently, turn around and treat the people around you decently. Law number 2, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Okay, in other words, treat people the way you desire to be treated. If you'd like to be lied to, lie to other people. Why you would like to be lied to, I don't know. Okay, but also number 3, energy out, energy in. And what this means is whatever you put your effort into, that's what you're stacking the deck in favor of attaining. The thing you got to remember, demons rely on fear, on pointing out the differences. Now, right now, the church is doing a staggering job. And I shouldn't say, and you notice I'm not saying one religion. Spiritual guides across the globe are doing the same thing. Let's point out the differences between people. And boys, you notice the lights bouncing all over the place. Okay, I'm telling you, the one thing we have to realize is I left the door open. Well, no, that wasn't the one thing. Yeah, that didn't work well. Thing we have to realize is if you desire this world to be a better world, then you've got to be the one initiating that change. Demons rely on fear. They rely on making you feel different, feel inferior. Now, I will tell you this. I've got my holdups. I am not perfect by any functional stretch of the imagination. Okay? But I will tell you, I am not better than any one of you. I'm not more special than anybody. I may be much more outspoken and much more direct about things, but at least I don't have to remember what I told anybody. All kinds of stuff I don't really require. So let's get rid of that just because I don't really require it. There we go. Now, something we have to realize. Whatever's going on, I started talking about this the other day. I look at it going, we can continue down the road we're going down. We can look at the world and go, we're falling apart. This is all the differences. Now, it's gotten really silly in my eyes, and in this particular respect, we can absolutely say demons, as in the religious belief of this other world entity from a negative outlook, is winning. It is making it happen. When I was growing up, we had problems, absolutely. One of which was we weren't happy with the world, went about changing it in a very unfound, very dysfunctional fashion. So what we have to do at this point, or what is advised, is let's take a look at what's happening. Let's take a look at the world the way it is. What do we got here? 18. H. Okay, and we go to J since Jason's there. I, J. See, what I'm doing here is I'm bringing my Wombox up to date. And that goes under S. Goes right there. I think I forgot something here. Don't mind me, brain just went on hold for half a second. Thing we gotta remember, when you're looking at this world, we can focus on the negative. We absolutely can. I just don't see the point to it. Now, if I take a look at that, I did not do that right. This is my one binder. Word of mouth binder. Okay, referring to my word of mouth advertising. And there's my pen. Get that stuff out of the way. Yeah, my desk, the reason I have to move stuff around a lot is because my desk is not really that big. But something you got to remember, I've got friends that are daemon. Okay, I don't have friends that are demons. Of course, in all fairness, I don't have friends that are actually Muppets. I've got some people I know that I think their IQ may be about the same size as Muppets, but that's my point. But let me ask you this, guys. Where are we here? Yeah, Derek's just making a comment. Nathan, you had about 1,000 edits last night on your panel. I'll tell you, the one thing we have to give Nathan credit for. Yes, I was on his panel last night. Hey Sam, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The one thing I have to give you credit for, Nathan, and curiosity, but are you by any chance actually at work today, or you should be at home right now, I suspect. But the one thing I absolutely have to give Nathan credit for is there was incredible technological complications. And I will tell you, it made me feel good in one way. Back at work again. Do you ever actually get a day off? In one sense, Nathan, I did like the fact we had technological problems simply because of the fact that I had so many problems that night, yesterday, where I logged in. I got the system of the stream up and running. No sooner did I get it up and running than YouTube kicked me out. Okay, kicked me out of the stream. I couldn't get back in. Neither Dave nor Frank, who both are well versed with computers and YouTube, could figure out how to get me back in. Net result, we were a half hour late. Absolute shambles, but I tell you, Nathan, two things you gotta give yourself credit for. Number one, you still held your composure together, and the panel you had on last night. Okay. The panel you had on last night, and I'm not talking about me because, quite frankly, yes, I was there. Am I good with technological hiccups? Clearly not. But the panel you had on stepped up to the plate and made sure things kept moving. Until you get things moved enough to carry forward. But, let's have a big round of applause for Nathan. did a bang-up job keeping things together properly. Let's see if I can do something here, which is usually a rarity. Here we go. Let's give Nathan a real big round of applause for actually holding things together. Now, everybody runs into hiccups. As we can see, like I said, pardon the start of this, but in all fairness, energy was really a bit scrambled. But got up, got things sorted around. Right. Now, do understand the other catch to today. Today is 6th, which means, yeah, look at this. Well, no, I can't show it to you. But I do track, gotta sort that out, don't I? I got up this morning, got to bed last night, and I think 11 o'clock-ish. Take that sheet and put that book and put it out of the way. Take a look here, and we got to bed at about 11 o'clock last night. Okay. At 1:30 this morning, I woke up. I was up until 3:30. Then went back to bed until 6. Okay, got up. And then let's see, we got done at 3. Yeah. So we go, where are we here? Just marking down sleep patterns, because this is something that, for me, is kind of an important factor in a lot of ways. Okay. Oh, by the way, what was that? I don't have it. Last week, I thought I actually put on a little extra weight. Like I said, when you desire to accomplish something, very important to step at it one step at a time. Now, let me just double check something here. And again, guys, if you've got a question that comes up, okay, doesn't matter what the topic, come right out and ask. Okay, come right out and ask me. If I've got I will usually answer. If I'm not going to answer, I'll give you a straightforward not going to tell you. Now, where was the last time I checked? Oh, okay. Definitely created a bit of a problem. Just checking where it was here. And of course, I'm not finding it marked. Is this? Yeah, that's July. Good. Didn't actually keep good tabs on it, which is really bad. But the last time I checked, yeah. See, I got scrambled last month. I checked my weight again this morning, and like I said, I didn't actually write it down, but I had hit 198.4 or maybe 199.2. There is no way I was letting myself break 200 again. Well, as of this morning, I checked again, I'm down to 195. Now, to you, that may not be a big deal, but I'll tell you, if you've got a goal, every little bit helps. Okay, what do we got here? Joe goes, that's actually an interesting question. What are the chances of a dream that one had of it actually coming true? Now, Joe, the answer to your question, I don't know the chances, but it does actually work quite consistently. And this is one of the reasons why I talk about making sure you write your dreams down. When you get up, as soon as you wake up, if you remember you've been dreaming, even if you don't recall what the dream was, let's say you remember you woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning and you remember running, and that's all you remember about your dream. Write down the date, the time, the date you woke up, the time you woke up, and simply, I remember dreaming about running. Okay. Now, eventually you will end up running. This is pretty clear cut. But dreams are, and this is why I say lucid dreaming is a bad thing. It's a very counterproductive thing to learn. Okay, but dreams are your subconscious's way or your higher self or your guardian angel or whatever phrase you want to put it in. Dreams are the way that it will reach out and say, hey, here's something that's happening that you should be aware of. Now, let us not forget, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. Every one of us does, to make sure things happen in the right fashion. Okay, now, what did I do with my one box? But dreams, they quite often they point in the same direction. What's that? Oh, E. I think I've missed a lot. ACAD. We missed putting a few of these in, so let's get that done while we're talking here. Because like I said, very important to stay on top of things. So we have, and I'm not going to tell you who is on the mailing list, because you guys that are asking for the newsletter or are purchasing a book, okay, you guys, like I said, I will not sell your information or even the fact that you're doing things, to anybody. Derek is just coming out here and going, my wife is the best. What would us men do without our lovely ladies? We would be lost. Football, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Nicely timed. Derek, I don't think I could agree with you more. I've always personally held, and this sounds a little sideways, but I've always held, behind every successful man is a somewhat pushy woman. Now, this does not mean women are bad. Okay, this means I've got a really bad habit of procrastinating on things, and that can cause its own complications. Okay, who do we got? Okay, I'm just adding people to my list because something I have to do, and it's happening. I'm not sure what it looks like yet. Wait a minute. This is August, so it's next month when my first set of net profit returns are going to be going out. And yes, that means Bryson, in all fairness, there's only one way you end up in the one box here. Okay. Now, everybody, and for all of those of you that did not know about this, first and foremost, yes, I do put out a monthly newsletter. And this is my database. Okay. This way, number one, if I have a problem with the computer, okay, there is not a computer hacker on the planet that can hack this database. You notice it's hard copy? Okay, but here's the thing there, Bryson. Okay, the only way you get on this box, in this list, is if, number one, if you ask to be on the mailing list, whether it is email or hard copy, okay, my newsletter will be 100% free in perpetuity. Okay, the only thing I require is if you desire the newsletter, which is currently named Positive Perspectives, if you desire it, I require an email address for you for me to actually send it to, or a physical mailing address if you prefer a hard copy. In either event, it's still free because it gets run all the way through my advertising budget. Now, here's the thing. Okay, we all know that if you run a company and you have advertising, you pay for it. However, the number one across the board method of advertising is absolutely, word of mouth. Okay, I just happen to figure out how to track and how to pay for it. Okay, no, I'm not going to go into that little algorithm. Hopping sideways for half a minute there. Football. I cannot speak for the country itself. Okay, I know that many children still trick or treat. it's been made really complicated to do. When I was a kid, it was just the thing you did. I still encourage people to celebrate it. Okay. Do I turn around and get dressed up anymore? No. I do turn around and get dressed up a whole lot less. But trick-or-treating is, in my opinion, still very important, because we have to remember the whole concept behind it was to celebrate, or was to recognize the monsters and the scary things of the world. Okay, when I was growing up, you would never see a ballerina out there trick-or-treating. Nothing against ballerinas. But when I was growing up, it was a question of the scarier, the better. Okay, but yeah, still many people trick-or-treat. I still make certain that I have stuff at home. In the event that I do have trick-or-treaters come by, but it's faded out a lot. And of course, the lockdown really put a kink in that. What do we got? Now, oh, by the way, guys, like I said, just back on that little note for a second, this box, do you end up on a list? If you aren't getting an email, if you're not getting a copy of the newsletter, or you haven't bought any one of the 8 books I've got in print, then I don't have a list of you. Okay, so whatever you do, don't hold that as a negative. But every individual that ends up on this list, okay, is first and foremost, they've got their own account number that I've got tracked, and it will work in perpetuity. But it started, I had to put somebody at the top. So I put my own name right at the top to make sure it worked, that I could track it properly. But rest assured, this list will not ever go to anybody. Okay. If the cops show up and say, hey, what can you tell me about this person? Sorry, I don't lie to anybody. Oh. Okay, Derek's going, Keith, what do you know about the Orion Lymans? Now, I'm not entirely certain about the term the Lymans. The Orions, on the other hand, a fair chunk. This is a group, these guys are very much into, they desire business. They are very passionate people. And if you want to get a look at how they look, when we go back to the original Star Trek, okay, to Gene Roddenberry's brainchild, the Orions they depict are pretty solidly accurate, aside from a very definitive green tinge to their skin. Well, green tinge, that's kind of like saying somebody with black hair has a black tinge to their hair. Or if you've got blue eyes, they're tinged blue, when they're brilliant. Okay, but Orions are very clearly a definitively deep green color. Various shades of green, but there's no question, as long as you're not colorblind. Okay, there's no question that they are green. Who is this? Don't mind me, just writing things down, getting things up to date. Once I get done this stream, of course, I've got to go back through things and make absolutely certain that I get all of it tracked properly, because the first of I've worked it out, I only am paying for word of mouth advertising once every 3 months. Okay, and that's just the simple side of it. Okay, but Orions are, number one, they will gamble, and they are very much involved in business, in gambling. There's a very definitive similarity between the Orion Nation and the nation, which, by the way, is also not entirely off kilter, that Star Trek also came out with. I swear, whoever's been building the Star Trek universe is still in direct contact and has direct information, has direct insight into some of the races that are out there. But the Ferengi is another race. And like I said, with the Orions, they are very much into anything that has to do with gambling. And yes, business in a lot of ways is a gamble, even if your business is running a household. Okay, now that is right, a gene. Now, again, people, like I said, I do track. Therefore, just a point in fact, if you know somebody that would like to receive the newsletter and you're talking to them about it, make sure when they ask for the newsletter, remind them to give me your name as well. Okay, and I will absolutely try and credit that. And here's why. Okay, where it comes to word of mouth advertising, okay, where it comes to word of mouth advertising, the one reality is this. Let's say you bought a book, okay, and you talk to somebody, and I've never spoken to them before, but you said, hey, I read The Birth of the Wolf Pack. I really enjoyed it. You should look at getting it. Okay. Now, I would have never made that sale. That person comes to me and goes, look, John told me, take a look at this book. So I turned around and bought it. I never would have met that person if it weren't for John. Now, John refers, Bob, and Bob buys the book, and Bob refers a couple of people somewhere down the road. Okay. Barry buys in the magazine, which, by the way, buying the magazine, buying the newsletter is absolutely free, but you still get put in the list and it spreads out. But I would never would have had any of that if it weren't for John in the first place. So that's what I'm tracking. Okay. Football, in answer to your question, I am likely having, don't know entirely, sorry for certain, but I'm likely having, I'll start with a stew base. I think it'll be from Puritans because I think that's what I've got up front. But then I add fresh vegetables and rice to it, to bolster it a little more. I am not what you would consider a good cook. I'm really not. Okay. But have I kept my son alive for the 10 years he's been living with me? Yeah, thus far I have. And yes, he is learning to cook for himself, which is why I don't worry about it too much. And by the way, you're absolutely right there, football. I am updating my system right now. But this is why I call it open topic. Whoa. Lost what I was doing. There we are. And by the way, here's the neat thing. Okay. I started off with the first account that I put on, like I said, which was me. Okay. The first account letter was A. Okay. Because I had to start somewhere. But it's a continually expanding account. So right now, with it being fully updated, I am currently, and the account number that we're now at for the newsletter is AI, meaning A to Z is 26, and 9, we've got 35 on the list right now. Now, here's the thing. We currently have 534 subscribers. Okay. In time, I will end up with a mailing list that is in the billions. And yes, I realize that's a huge number. Okay. And I realize that's not the way people do it. But I'm changing that. Okay. I'm just not interested in doing it the way everybody else has. I'm interested in doing it the way I would like to see it happen. And this is why when I talk about my net profit going out, now remember, net profit is how much money is what's left after all of my expenses, of my personal expenses are covered. Okay. 80% of it will be going back to my employees. Don't have any. contractors, contributors, customers. Okay, 80% of it will be going back to them. Sorry, 70% will be going back to people. An extra 10%, meaning a total of 80, will go to charity. And I don't mean that you guys are going to be paying that any of the money that comes in for charity is going to be going to the administration costs. That is getting covered by me personally, by my company personally. Okay. Where are we? So right now, I am looking at this going, okay, now we are up to date. The current mailing list runs to AI. Okay. Now, who AI is, sorry, not bothering telling you. But I will if somebody ever wants to know what their account number is. Okay. Absolutely, all you gotta do is ask. I may eventually decide I'm going to point out who is what, because it literally goes out in a first come, first served basis. Raven, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I gotta double check something here. Yeah, I'm always double checking something. What is that? Oh, okay, that gets put elsewhere. How bizarre. Now, before I get myself sidetracked, I just cannot see myself ever getting sidetracked. Raven, I'm glad you could join us. You know, hopefully things have been going well for you. Oh, something I haven't told anybody yet, I don't think, at least not in public. Okay, a gentleman I know, now I write in six different venues. Okay, I write in science fiction, science fantasy, children's, self-help, reference, poetry, and somebody I know approached me with the request, and we've agreed to do it. Matter of fact, he was talking to me about it today. We are going to be co-authoring a novel. I don't know if it'll be a novel or a novelette or what the story, but we are going to be co-authoring a story and eventually turning it into a screenplay. Two fields I'm completely outside of right now, but we are committed to, and we were talking about it today. We are absolutely going to be focusing on that. Now, today is Sunday. Okay, just reminding myself that, by the way. So that will put me into a 7th genre for writing. And yes, I'm already going through things. Now, where is that one? Grab this neat little thing, because this is my list for actually keeping on track on the day-to-day base. If I seem a little scattered, I probably am. Okay, but again, guys, if you have a question, doesn't matter what it is. Okay, if you've got a question, come right out and ask. And I will be more than happy to do my best to answer it. What do we got here? Oh, Joe's going, what happens more? Bigfoot, cryptid abductions, or alien abductions? Well, let's start with the obvious. First and foremost, Bigfoot and cryptids don't abduct people. Okay, so the aliens are definitely the ones that do that. Now, in all fairness, football, I have no idea who Trixie Belden is. But that being said, okay, in time, this is one of those venues that Inner Voice Enterprises is going to be expanding into. There we go. Yeah, I don't do detective work. Needless to say, there's a reason I don't research. But, okay, I am not one to tell somebody that your story isn't good enough. Your story isn't interesting enough. This is the thing that I am dead set against. What I don't know, and tomorrow is Tuesday, so I'm going to drop in, see if I can talk to my tax accountant before I get involved with Community Futures and see whether opening another business as just the publishing business or opening it or just running on and expanding in the overall business. I'm sort of in a mix. I might be looking at two different departments, which is the most likely way of doing it. Okay, but yes, I am dealing right now with writing, as in actually getting people's story out. If you've only got one poem, okay, the one thing I don't desire, I got enough to write about. I don't need to steal your ideas. And so many of the publishing companies I've dealt with do just that. Okay, when I get a submission, there's a couple of things that have to happen. First and foremost, the only way I'm going to do it for anybody, let's say you've got a poem that you're looking to get published, and you've only got one, but you'd really like to get it into print. Now, I would require the copy of that poem and a plus $20 Canadian and per poem, and a letter stating this is your work and I have the right to reprint it. Okay, to reprint it in part or in whole. This also applies to artwork that people are trying to put out. Okay, I'm going to go into all of this. Right now, it's in the starting stages. Joe, there is not a prayer that I can tell you, give you even a functionally educated guess. Joe's asking how many alien abductions every year, how many alien abductions happen every year, if any. Okay, I can't even begin to give you a number, but I will tell you, based on what I've heard, I would have to say you're probably looking in the numbers of literally millions of sightings, which boils down into at the very, very bare minimum, hundreds of thousands of actual abductions. Now, I'm not asking anybody to prove it. And for those of you that are going to ask that question, and I got asked it again the other day, well, where's your proof of what you're claiming? I haven't got any. Okay, I'm not looking to get any. I'm not interested in going on to a lie detector test to decide whether I'm being honest. I don't care if people believe it. And yes, I know that's rude. I really do. But the fact of the matter is, alien abductions, I mean, let's face it. Let's say that only, that when you look at all the evidence that's out there, let's just assume, a staggering amount. I'll answer that question in 10 seconds there, football. Okay. Now, if we've got 8 billion, which is okay, if we've got 8 billion people on the planet, we're just rounding off to a simple issue. Now, let's say there are literally only 1%. So we times that by 0.01 equals 80 million. Now, let's say there was only 1% actually being abducted. And let's say that 1% admit to what's happening. You're looking at 80 million. Now let's say only 1% of those are actual abductions. So you multiply that by 0.01, and you come on down to right off the bat 800,000 abductions a year. Now, I'm not saying that's how many are happening. I'm talking about just small numbers. So you're looking at, even if you cut that in half, at 0.5% of what people are claiming. If 1% are claiming to be abducted, if only 0.5% of those, are actual abductions, then you're looking at 400,000 people being abducted every year. Now, let us not forget, the people in so-called third world countries are game taken just as frequently. Now, football's asked, do off-worlders fear anything? Absolutely. The massive majority of them actually fear humans. Okay. And you're going, why would the off-worlders, with all their technology, with all their advanced knowledge, why would they fear humans? Well, humans have one thing going for them. Well, they got a couple. Number one, humans are born with the ability to consciously manipulate zero-point energy. Or, as Nathan puts it on his show, we know how to instinctively manipulate the quantum universe. Okay, people on the whole don't know what they're doing. Okay, but they do it anyway. The moment you decide you're changing the way your life is going, you will affect everybody around you. Okay, and this is what I'm banking on. Now, when I started on this stream, it took 4 years of a lot of people saying, hey, would you please be kind enough to get the information in physical form so we can get a look at it. Okay. Now, yes, I got way too many things on the go in some ways. But let us see here. Get that open so I can get this done right. Today is August 6th. Sure, my pen's not going to work right now. And no, I'm not updating things. This is that fine little pad that I told you I keep handy. Just to make sure I get things done. Let us move that over here before I completely overheat. Should have brought that over before. I like this little fan. It's easy to reach, set up quite nicely, and therefore I can actually keep my temperature down to a functional level. Now, okay, Henry is asking, would the divine realm or seat of God be subquantum, or is it beyond our realm entirely? No, the local seat of what you call God, whether you call it God, Allah, God, Allah, the creator, source, doesn't matter. All of these titles apply. Okay, the local seat of it is in the third dimension. It's right here. Okay, and they are responsible for opening the gateway that created everything you know of. But everything you sense, whether it is something that is beyond your sight, okay, it is all third dimensional. The big thing that I find that I question a lot is this issue about time travel, okay, or about other dimensions. Well, time travel too, but we'll get to that afterwards. Okay, everything you see, even if it's vibrating too fast to see, is third dimensional. Okay, the human race, Earth itself, is not rising to the fifth dimension. Not happening. There's a very long and convoluted process that has to go there. Okay. Now, football, you're asking, do off-worlders hate when humans disrespect them? Hate is a really strong word. Okay. Because many off-worlders actually, and we're talking the ones on the fringe of the consortium, way away from Earth, question whether humans are a reality, whether they're a cryptid, whether they exist at all. Okay, even the off-worlders, not all of them believe humans are real. Okay, now Nathan's going, local seat of it sounds like an anchor or binded tether. Not exactly, but what you know as God is sitting at the gateway to the hub of the multiverse. Now, in this rendition of reality, you've got 12, there we go, trying to get my numbers right. You've got 12 dimensions, all of them linked to the central hub, but not until you have found all of your component parts and pulled yourself completely back together. Okay, once you do that, then you got access to go to the other dimensions. Now, here's the kicker to it. Once you've gone through all 12 dimensions, collected all of your parts, then and only then has your vibratory rate risen to the point of going beyond the portal and getting back to the next to another level of reality. This is an ongoing and ever expanding level. Okay. Now, Henry's just going, humans aren't real, they can't hurt you. Well, I'll tell you, humans are phenomenal people. Yes, I find them very dense on occasion, and I became extremely reclusive for a reason. But you know the old saying, what you don't see can't hurt you. Bad news, there are a lot of people that have been killed by cars they never saw coming, by that sudden stop at the bottom when you fall off a building or off a cliff. Okay, by carbon monoxide poisoning. These are all things you cannot see. Okay, and yet they will most assuredly kill you. Well, you know, Henry, you take a look at it. Now look at some of our stories. Look at the Hans Christian Andersen, stories. What was the other brothers? I was going to say the Barnum brothers, but no, they were a circus act. That's Barnum and Bailey Circus. The reality is, people will believe a lie faster than they'll believe the truth. It was once said that a well-told lie will travel around the world before the truth actually gets its shoes on and is ready to go out the door. Thank you very much there, Nathan. Pulled a blank on that. The Brothers Grimm. And I'll tell you, and we're getting caught, Doctor, now I feel a little slow here. I'm running into a hiccup, and we have Nathan, Football, and Emmy all going, it's the Grimm Brothers. And yeah, absolutely football. A tornado in the dark. You never see it coming, but I'll tell you, it can kill you in a heartbeat. Okay, absolutely, Nathan. That's what this whole thing is about. The teamwork in this particular chat room. What I call this is my third family. I've got technically my bloodline. I've got the friends I've got. Most of those are tied to the gaming world, to the D&D world. Okay, and then I've got you guys. And I've got so many acquaintances around, literally across the world right now. It's really humbling in a lot of ways. I do not see myself as anything special. Okay. Sometimes, and that would come out really disrespectful, so let's not do that. Okay, football. Football's after hybrids interested in having a relationship with human parents. Some of them absolutely are. Okay, and I'm not, before anybody asks, am I going to tell people ever, oh, that person's a hybrid, or that person's not? I'm not going to go there. I did that centuries ago where it came to hunting for witches. I used to do it, but I had a twisted way of looking at it. Okay, but some hybrids are absolutely interested in having a relationship with their human parents. Here's the thing you got to remember. Some adopted kids are interested in having a relationship with their birth parents. But you got to remember, sometimes those parents don't want to have a relationship with the kid. Okay, I know of one person in particular, and no, I'm not going to tell you their name, but I know of them particularly. They personally knew, they were told right from the get-go that they were adopted. Okay, right from birth. They insisted on going and meeting their birth parents. But when they met the birth parents, the mother refused to meet them at all. The father literally agreed to meet them for coffee. And what the father did, from what I gather, is met the individual for coffee, sat down and says, okay, look, I agreed with you to meet you for coffee for one reason. I gave you away when you were born because I didn't want anything to do with you. Okay, I agreed to meet you for coffee to tell you again, I want nothing to do with you. I didn't want you around when you were born. I don't want you around now. Now, this is absolutely beyond my comprehension. I would never consider doing that to a child. Okay. Now, football is asking, what are the traits of hybrids? That, unfortunately, is really complicated because it depends on what the hybrid is. Okay, the one thing that they all have in common is a hybrid will instinctively understand the culture of both their human half. Okay, well, they'll understand the culture of both halves of their heritage. Okay, whether it's human and reptilian, gray and reptilian, maybe it's Eniod and Anunnaki. Okay, doesn't matter. A hybrid will automatically, instinctively understand the culture of both. Okay, they won't necessarily be able to speak both languages, but you will find that hybrids do not look at the standard world in a normal fashion. They will see things in a very different perspective. Okay, now to me, hybrids feel different. Some are more obvious than others. Okay, but they feel different to me. And this is why I say, can I quite often spot them? Certainly. For you, something may just feel a little off. Okay, but then I'm sure you've got friends that feel a little off. Being a little off of the norm does not make them bad people. Definitely have to have that cold water around. And no, I drank what? I think I drank like a pot and a half of coffee this morning before I got to work in the office. Of course, I went out, grabbed breakfast this morning, picked up my son, brought him back, and then starting at 10 o'clock until 3, we were gaming. And now here I am. Now, this is Sunday, and I don't think... Well, oh, there we are. Really? Almost invariably. What is this? Okay, well, we unplug that. Almost invariably, the same person phones me after I get on my live stream. Right, which is really bizarre to my way of thinking. But what we have to remember, yeah, that's a good way of looking at it there. Football goes Sunday fun day. The reality is I look at it this way. When you're alive, enjoy. It's easy to die. Okay, there's a lot of ways of doing it. I've tried many of them. Okay, the real trick is finding a way to enjoy, to really live. Now, I have finally come to the conclusion that stepping out of the shadows and into the public spotlight and going, hey, we got to do something to change the way the world is. We've got to start looking at the positive side of things. And why, pray tell, is that saying that way? So I am in the process of altering the whole 9 yards of things. And I just don't like that saying where it is, so I'm changing it. The reality of it is, when I look at the way the world is running right now, I've got one of two options. And by the way, you've got the same two options. Okay, your options are this. You can take a look at the way the world is and go, it's not my problem. I'm too small to change it. Okay, well, let me paint something and let me paint this neat little picture for you. Let's say you are a tiny little thing. Okay, that'll work. When I was growing up, my brother, okay, all my whole family, like there were 6 kids in the family, in the immediate family. Okay. And we were climbing a sandbank. Now my brother pulled out a rock that was about that thick and that size and about twice that thick. Okay, that was all it was to it. We were climbing up the face of a sandbank. Okay, now 3 of us were on top of the ridge. two on the face of the ridge, and my little sister was under the ridge. Okay, so of course it was three of my brothers up on top. My older brother Brian was on the right hand ridge. Now Brian's already passed away, by the way. I was on the face of the ridge, about 10 feet away from him. Brian grabbed a rock that size. Okay, double that thickness, but a rock that size. Now maybe you think you're insignificant. He pulled out that size of a rock, and the entire sandbank, the whole ridge, about 60 feet long, about 40 feet high, and about 20 feet deep, collapsed by pulling out a rock that big. Now, you may be just a tiny person, but you can have a staggering impact on the world around you. Now, I'm one individual, okay? I'm building an empire. I'm building a publishing company. Now, I've been told by the company that's looking at possibly helping me that I cannot take orders for people to say, yes, I can't take money from people to start building this repertoire. All I can do is get a letter of support from people or letters of intent, as in this company goes into existence and I'm ready to submit money and make it happen. Okay, so I'm already building the templates for things. Okay, but if you think you're significant, picture that. Okay, and I don't have a measuring tape with me offhand, but you take a look at that, bearing in mind the average hand is 4 inches. So we're looking at about 3 inches wide, about 4 inches tall, and about 2 inches deep. That size took out that huge bank. You as an individual have the capacity to have that kind of impact on the world around you. And I'm encouraging you wholeheartedly, get on the bandwagon. Let's change the world together. Not so that I sit at the top of the totem pole. Call it afraid of heights. They tell me it's lonely out there, so I'm just taking everybody with me. Everybody that wants to go anyway. Now, the reality is time is of the essence. You can postpone things anytime you want. Take your pick. Postpone it for another 3 weeks before you do anything to change your life. The reality is when you get around to changing your life, it's in the here and now. Right here, right now. Joe's asking, Keith, do you have a knife collection? Well, in a manner of speaking, I don't have a big one. Of course, in all fairness, there's a reason for that. What? Take that and get that out of the way. Would you not do that? Okay, hold on. These little things, I'm going to tell you, a buddy of mine knows how to throw these. Okay. But I've got little throwing knives like this. Okay. And yes, I will one day figure out how to throw them properly. I'm going to turn to a friend of mine that actually knows how to throw them. My father was phenomenal with it, and he would throw with either hand. My older brother used to play darts. Now, he played semi-professionally, but I kid you not. He picked up a dart one day. No, I'm not going to throw it. He picked up a dart one day. A guy was pushing him to have a dart game with him. And my brother looks at the guy and goes, look, I'm with my brother. I don't desire to play darts right now. Guy kept pushing him. My brother leans down, picks up a dart from the table, looks at it. Now, over there is the dartboard. My brother looks at the dart and goes, and throws it this way and goes, I don't want to play darts. And he rifles it sideways, didn't turn his head at all, and buried it right in the bullseye. Now, one day, if I take the time to actually figure it out, I'll figure out how to do that. I don't know where I would practice that here how I would practice that in my apartment. Probably not. But I will eventually talk to my brother and talk to a friend of mine that does know how to throw blades. But I've got those ones, and I think I've got another set here. Now, I've shown you the big blade. That's the easy one. But there's that little one, and if I go, I think it might be in here. Oh, I forgot to do that. Whole pile of things there that I don't require. Oh, there it is. I got slightly bigger throwing knives as well. Like I said, I like these things. You know, they are completely reusable. Okay, and no, I don't stab people with them. Heck, I don't even stab myself with them. But I do know, I know the basics to it. I've just never practiced with it. Okay, but do I collect little blades? You used to see my collection of kitchen blades. No, I'm not a cook. I don't enjoy cooking. Okay. And the answer to your question there, football is going, do you watch TV? Well, I've watched TV a lot, but the thing never does anything exciting. It just kind of sits there. No, in all fairness, I don't watch cable at all. I do watch movies on Netflix, and I think my Disney Channel just expired, so I'll have to look into that. But no, I do not spend a whole lot of time watching TV. Holy mackerel, really? Oh, absolutely there. You know, football goes, have you ever been attacked by an animal or an insect? I've been attacked, and where it comes to animals and insects, well, it's funny with it's funny with vampires. No, it's funny with mosquitoes. See, the doctors found out the hard way. I've got what they call self-healing veins. So when mosquitoes only ever attack me once, and it's always for their last meal, because what happens is, like you, they'll land and they'll punch a hole in. You know, they'll use their proboscis, punch a hole through my skin, and into the vein to get a drink of blood. Problem is, my veins self-heal, which means you watch a mosquito land on my arm, and it'll be trying to drink, and then you'll watch it start to pull at the skin, trying to get away, and it will sit there, and then after a little bit, it will stand there, shake, and jump around for a bit, still with its proboscis in my arm, and then it'll blow up. Okay, overpressurized as near as I can figure. I honestly have no idea. What I do know, football's going, have you ever, I heard the mosquitoes love O positive blood. I've never actually heard of any reference to them having a preference, because people across the board seem to get bit. Okay, as for animals, I was bit by a dog once when I was 4 years old. A collie bit me here, which wouldn't have been too bad. But I was only 4, and the collie come over my arm, and his teeth closed on my arm here. I was absolutely petrified of dogs for the longest time. A barking dachshund would freeze me in my tracks. Since then, I was attacked by I'll use the term attacked a little loosely. Okay. I think it was a Rottweiler, huge beast anyway, that was growling, teeth bared, the whole 9 yards. And it come around the corner, and I had another woman with me at the time. And I stopped and looked directly at her, at this dog. I went and I looked directly at him, met him eye to eye. I said, one more move, you're dead. It stopped cold, turned around, and ran away. Okay, so I don't know if you want to call that attacked or not. Birds I don't get attacked by. Okay, birds, squirrels, these little animals, I did have a raccoon one day that wanted me to pick it up and cuddle it. I went, no, not going to happen. Here's this little kid standing there on its hind legs with its hands in the air, clearly just like a little child, clearly asking to be picked up. The mother's standing over here. I looked at the kid and I went, no, not going to happen. Yeah, you're cute, but you're still a wild raccoon. I'm not picking you up. Besides that, your mother's not going to take it well. Okay, because parents across, most parents will protect their kids. Yeah, football goes. A bird tried to get in my mom's car this morning at Sonic. I have to watch it because we keep our screen doors closed. The screens on doors and windows at home here are closed. Not to keep the bugs out, but to keep the birds out. And I'm not quite certain what their draw is to my house. But do I have a lot of trouble with animals? No, not personally. It would seem football. I will tell you, when I walk out the front door, I've got a I believe it's called a covey of quail. I think that's what it's called. Okay, they live underneath the hedge in front of my window. They will talk to me all the time. I've got a squirrel. I've actually got one that does. There's a squirrel. He doesn't come to talk to me, but every fall, when he's starting to get later in the summer, I work, like I'm on the ground floor, and I've got my window right here above the computer. Okay, but as it gets later in the fall, I'll have the windows open and the blinds open, and there's this one squirrel that, I kid you not, he'll run over to the window, he'll stand there and hold up a seed, and he'll stand there and jump up and down until I look up and notice him. Then he'll hold the nut up, put it in, and then drop it back down, grab it in his teeth again, and run back the way he came. So clearly he's not heading for a nest over in this corner. He's just coming over to show me what he's doing. Okay, the finches and the chickadees that you hear periodically, I talk to all of them outside my window. Many of them will stop, say a couple of words, and then fly off again. Now, I don't know if you call this bonding or not. Do I have a good relationship with a lot of them? Absolutely. I know with the quail, I saved an entire generation one year, just 2 or 3 years back now. I saved an entire generation by simply taking the time to treat them as I desire to be treated. They were having trouble, couldn't get to their parents. I went out with a cardboard box to lift them up and get them back over the curb, back up to their parents. Later in the year, I saw the whole 14 of them running around together. And I still get them coming by periodically. The adults will come over, and I'll see them wandering around looking directly in the window and just waiting for acknowledgement. Well, the funny part there, football, is, football is going, and pet psychic claim that animals use profanity. What I find fascinating there is, first of all, every animal, every species uses positive words and what people call profanity. My question is, why would a pet psychic focus on the idea that animals use profanity unless it is a shock factor? Okay, every one of them do. Okay, to more or lesser degrees. Humans use it. Every nationality of humans swear. Every plant swears. All of them take what you call the Lord's name in vain at one point or another. It was funny. I was walking through the mall one day, and I made a call. A buddy I was with said something, and I did swear. I looked at him, and I'm going to apologize ahead of time. Okay, because this is going to upset somebody. Okay, I'm not actually going to swear. We're just going to use the initials JC. Okay. But this, and my buddy said something, and I looked at him, and I says, I literally said to him, I didn't think about who was around me. I looked at him, I went, JC. Well, this little old lady come flying out of one of these side shops in the mall, and she goes, she's waving her umbrella at me. She's going, "Thou shalt not call the Lord's name in vain." Well, I was just in one of those moods, and of course, my mouth opened wide, my foot went right in beside it, and I worked really hard to get the other one in there with it. I looked at the woman. I said, well, if he'd get his butt down here when I called, it wouldn't be in vain now, would it? Now, I know that's sacrilegious. I understand that. And I'd apologize, but that would indicate that I was sorry. And I'm really not. That's just the way I am. Let's face it. If God created everything, he also created the vocabulary and that propensity to utilize it. You know, but the reality of it is, yeah, Nathan's going, well, maybe that was more like a neighbor squirrel and wants to brag about his work. And yeah, in all fairness, Nathan, I thought about that. That's why I don't call it necessarily bonding. But do I treat animals properly? Absolutely. I loved what I saw a friend of mine, what I heard a friend of mine had done. There was a bird trying to get across the street. Silly thing is, it was trying to walk. Okay, but it was taking its kids with it. And my buddy had pulled into the parking lot, and yes, they were quail. But he pulled into the parking lot, and the quail were right there. So he stopped and inched slowly forward to let them get out of the way. So he gets out of the way. You know, they finally got out of the way. He pulls the car in, and now they're trying to cross the parking lot. And my buddy turns around and looks at them, and there was another car coming in. My buddy actually did the one thing I absolutely was tickled pink about. He stepped in front of the car and blocked the way, while the quail made the way across the drive. The guy's moving. Apparently the driver's yelling, "Get out of my way! I want to go through." Right, and my buddy looks at him and goes, "I got quail here trying to get across the street, so I'm not moving." Well, the guy yells back, "Yo, well, I don't care about the quail." Right, that wasn't the word he used. My buddy looks at him and goes, "That's okay, I'm not moving." And he let the quail get across the street. Now, as it turns out, that batch of quail he was talking about was the same quail that I had saved a while ago. You know, Joe's going, "Cats are fabulous animals. My cat senses everything. She even senses something before I do, even on a nice day." You know, I used to have a bumper sticker that I absolutely still cotton to. You know, the more people I meet, the more I like my cats. Okay, I still get along very well with them. You know, my ex was phenomenal. She would adopt any animal that was stray. No, I actually don't have pets. But then I'm not allowed pets in my apartment. Well, technically I could. I could ask to have a pet, pay half a month's pet deposit, and carry on. But frankly, my schedule doesn't fit a pet. So I just don't worry about it. But you know, Joe, I definitely agree. Cats are incredible things. Okay? You never domesticate a cat. Cats have figured out that humans will care for them if they show up. I cannot tell you the number of cats I've heard of that moved into somebody's house and just sat down and went, "Okay, I'm here." And then they look at you with these great big eyes going, "Feed me." And humans almost invariably will turn around and feed the cat. Okay, I figure it's really kind of comical. Now, what do we got here? Not that one. What's that? A-I. There's one missing. Where is it? A-G. Okay. There we are. Oh, good. It is in here. So I need J. What I'm doing here is I literally had a couple of sheets in my one binder. Okay. That I really had to get in here. So I make sure it stays on track. I'm pretty certain I've got more of these in the inbox that I'll have to deal with. And there we have it. Now, as per usual, guys, priorities first. I gotta get my water. I will be right back. In case you hadn't noticed, guys, I'm not drinking coffee. I'm still going through a staggering amount of water, which is a good thing, by the way. Now, what did I miss here? Okay. Yeah, well, I can honestly tell you, cats run the array. The funny thing that you gotta realize with cats, or with dogs, or with rabbits, gerbils, whatever, all of these animals, when they end up in the hands of a... Oh yeah, I definitely did that, Henry. Once I realized what had happened, I definitely cut back on the Coca-Cola. And no, I did not replace it with more pop. One thing I will tell you, the second somebody takes on a pet, okay, what you're taking on is a fuzzy, feathered, or scaled child with more legs than humans have. Okay, but they still behave the same. They still desire the same things. Okay. Yeah, just a curiosity thing. Football, you said that your back hurts when you drink too many sodas. Let me ask you this. Does it hurt right on the out, like right in the small of the back there, just a little ways away from the spine itself? I'm just curious if that's where you're feeling a lot of your pain. If your back starts hurt. Okay. I'll tell you this, from my experience. Now understand, I am not a medical doctor. Okay. I did, however, live with my brother who was an LPN. I've talked to a lot of people about health. And what you're talking about is overworking your kidneys. This is why when you put that much sugar through, your back is going to hurt in those locations. And thank you for the corroboration there, Henry. Black Dragon, how you doing? Glad you could join us. All that means is, again, and water works beautifully to flush it out. If you want to help, another thing you can add to your water perfectly safely from everything I've come across. Well, not everything. There's one modern doctor that says adding lemon to your water is bad for you. I'm thinking adding chlorine to your water is worse, but okay. I quite regularly, when I'm having an open glass of water, I will quite readily add lemon juice to it because it kills the chlorine taste. Yeah, Emmy goes, I myself limit myself to 1 Dr. Pepper a day. Well, especially if you add the right ingredients, football, and we're not going to go into that. But there is an old saying that goes, everything in moderation. I will tell you this, though. Poison, even in moderation, is a bad idea. Okay? Like these geniuses that came out, 4 or 5 years ago with the Tide Pod Challenge. It's like, this is direct poison. I don't care how little you're eating, it's bad for you. Okay? I had one person tell me flat out, everything natural is good for you. I looked at him and I went, really? Arsenic is 100% natural. Okay? And I'll tell you, it'll kill you. It's not good for you. Now I personally would not recommend ketchup and ice cream. Won't kill you, it's not bad for you per se. But I'll tell you, the taste leaves a whole lot to be desired. Like taste. But the thing you got to remember is whatever you're doing, okay, remember, keeping your body healthy is the way to put your whole system in check. That's just the reality of it. And what we're looking at right now, like I've got all this stuff on the go that I've been talking about. What do we got there? Henry goes, in my experience, drinking a chlorine oxide solution makes my fingernails hard as, well, nails. Here's the thing. I don't have a special diet. And yet my fingernails, I can draw blood with like that. Okay? And it's just that simple. My teeth, on the other hand, they're a bit of a shambles. And I'm still looking for that neat little natural way of rebuilding them. Because I'm telling you, this is the one area, well, that and my right knee, I haven't been able to put back together properly. Yeah, Henry goes, I always wondered why we even have these things if they're so floppy and useless. It seems sometimes something might be missing from our diet. Well, that's part of it, but here's the other thing. You got to remember, when we were younger, and I mean as a species, we had claws. Okay, we had fingernails designed for drawing blood. We had fingernails designed for digging out holes in roots so that we could get at termites and other bugs. Okay, we had the strength to remove, to literally crush our opponents in our hands. You've still got the same capacity to build that. Okay, but it requires effort. Like this fine little thing here. Okay, do I still work with this? The answer is yes. I've got a choice. I can either work and build my strength back up and get my body back in shape, same as you. Don't just take my word for it. Okay, you desire your body to run properly. You're going to have to put the effort into it. Jenny, how you doing? Uh-oh. Jenny's going, all my electronics and Wi-Fi are screwy. You get used to it after a while. And you'll notice that I have no idea what's causing this. But you'll notice the light keeps changing in this room. It's kind of comical. I'm not entirely certain what's going on, but hey, we haven't lost stream. I'm content with it. The thing we have to remember is the human race is evolving, but one of the things that has cut back on the amount of strength in our nails and what have you is the advent of technology. Football polar bears are supposed to scare you. Okay. They are not, polar bears are wonderful animals. I got a lot of respect for them, but they are not something to go and cuddle, although there is a guy up north that does have them for pets. A friend of mine actually adopted, well, more to the point, a grizzly bear adopted him. Okay. Wild animals are wild. And I don't care who they are. They are a wild animal. Therefore, caution is imperative. If you're going out where the animals are, absolutely be cautious. Treat them with respect. Treat people with respect. It's just amazing the number of people that go, oh, I'm human, therefore I'm better and I can go and do what I want in nature. And sure enough, nature's going to come back and bite you. Absolutely, Black. Black Dragon is just saying, respect the wilds and they will respect you. Absolutely. This became painfully apparent for me the day that I ended up lost in the woods. And Bigfoot came and actually got me back home. Yeah, Joe goes, lions and tigers and bears, oh my. So we have a world that is phenomenal. And there's a lot of really positive things happening. Speaking of which, something I've got to get to as soon as I get off this stream. You notice I got a lot of things I got to get to. Let us see here. I've got to get to... We'll read that as soon as I get here. My email, both from Inner Voice and the spam bin. And then my personal email and the spam bin. So if you guys have dropped me a letter, if you've written me something in email or on YouTube, I'm getting to it as soon as I get off this stream. Okay. So I will be, if you've sent a question or you've asked a question, I will be dealing with it tonight. Yeah, Jenny Whitebear goes, where we go? Oh. Yeah, football goes, nature says, not today, Karen. I have no idea who decided Karen was a bad name. Okay. I see a lot of people that you look at going, it would be nice if you treated people even a little bit nicer. Just a little. I go out of my way. Well, it's really not far out of my way. But I will go out of my way to tell people thank you if I feel they've done a good job. Okay. Even it's like I was talking to my boss one day, years ago. He had come into the kitchen to help me. I looked at him and I called him by name, obviously. I went, thank you very much. He goes, what are you thanking me for? It's my job. I said, it's your job, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't be thanked. Yeah, so I've got a whole pile of emails and what have you. I've got to answer here. Not to mention the fact that I do have to take my health medication, as in my hawthorn berry and my electrolytic balance. Like I said, the important factor is I desire to see the 22nd century in a functionally healthy body this lifetime. Okay, which means I better turn my health around. These things I get off this stream. If I'm not working on the computer, these will sit on the desk. But I can't read the computer that way. Joe goes, I held the door open for a lady the other day and she yelled at me. I mean, that to me, well done, Joe, by the way. Hopefully you continued holding the door until she was through it, unlike a chap I knew years ago. But it does not take a lot of effort to be grateful. You know, I remember standing in line one day, and there was a guy in a scooter in front of me, and he would have, now this would be 20 years ago now, but he was in a scooter. I'd have been around about 40, and this tiny little cute little button of a kid, maybe 5 years old, huge eyes, big black pigtails, was looking at the scooter, and she was just wide-eyed. There's another guy behind me. He was closer into his late 80s. Okay. And he was on a cane. Well, the little kid was looking at the scooter, and she's just wide-eyed. And she goes, you know, the guy in the scooter looks at her and goes, "Get away from me." Well, the poor little girl runs around behind her mother and just hugs her for dear life. Right? And the guy behind me, the 80-plus-year-old guy, looks at the little munchkin and goes loud enough for the guy in the scooter to hear, "You know, Munchkin," actually, I think he called her, I think he literally said, "You know, Sprog, it must take a lot of work to be that angry to take it out on you." Right? And, you know, from there we managed to, and between the two of us, we got this little munchkin smiling again. Okay. You know, Joe has said that, and then football goes sad. And Black Dragon goes, "Joe, I was slapped for doing that." Joe goes, "She is not going to change my habits." Okay, absolutely agree with you. And Henry, the answer to your question, what is wrong with people? People are taught in today's world, and I kid you not, this is sad. They are taught to be self-centered, self-serving, and self-righteous. Okay, yet not self-sufficient. Okay, and this is the sad part. Okay. Yeah, Jenny goes, "Some women are just plain stupid. They want a strong man they can dominate." I wonder if people realize you can't have a strong man you can dominate. Because if you've got a strong man or a strong woman, you're not going to dominate them. They won't be dominated. I was looking for a perfect partner. Okay, not perfect in everything she does, not perfect in the eyes of the world, but perfect for me. I'm lucky. I found her. Okay, I'm not married to her yet. And like I told her, I'm a real control freak. I will not back up the idea of her driving downtown. Of course, we got to realize the woman's absolutely 100% blind. So I'm not sure if it would be a good idea or entertaining or not, but yeah, and that's just it. You know, I'm on a cane a lot of the time, and I will constantly open doors. Yeah, Black Dragon, I get dominated by bacon. Yeah, you know, Black, I've got a really bad habit. You know, they tell me my health is terrible in some ways. I don't get ill, and yet I will take a complete half pound of bacon. Nope, that's wrong, 500 grams. I will take a whole pound of bacon, fry it up, and that will be a meal. That's it. Just a pound of bacon. Not necessarily the brightest meal, but definitely enjoyable in my eyes. You know, I'm a carnivore. What can I say? You know, it was great. I went out to this restaurant this morning. The restaurant I like going to wasn't open. So I went out to a restaurant this morning. Then they literally called it a hamburger steak. Okay, a 7-ounce hamburger steak. You know, and with that in mind, you know, from my standpoint, that was great. Had a little bit of hash browns, you know, had gravy, you know, had the primary part of it was not only was it a 7-ounce hamburger steak, really well put together, really well, solidly homemade. It was well enough packed together. I actually had to cut it with a knife to be able to eat it. But on top of that, it had another either 2 or 3 slices of bacon. Okay, on the same meal. Then I get over to the ex's place to pick up my son, and I end up with another couple of pieces of bacon. This is starting to sound like bacon is a diet staple. And in all fairness, I don't actually keep it in the house that much. Primarily because if I buy 3 pounds of bacon, that'll last me 3 days if I'm lucky. Primarily because I don't eat anything else with it. Not necessarily a wise idea. But on the other hand, my cholesterol levels are perfectly fine. And like I said, I don't get ill. So I figure I'm doing it right. The doctors don't understand it. But do I still eat some vegetables? Well, in all fairness, I talk to more vegetables than what I eat. But, it is absolutely imperative that you watch your diet. If you're eating something that's throwing you off, okay, where is it? What's that? Just scanning to make sure I didn't miss anything here. There we go. Yeah, as we found out, if you're drinking too much soda and it's causing you pain, don't drink that much soda. It's like the joke that was told when I was a kid. Guy goes to the doctor and he goes, doctor, I don't know what's wrong. He goes, when I touch here, my finger, my finger hurts. When I touch here, my finger hurts. When I touch here, my finger hurts. What's wrong with me, doctor? Doctor looks at him and goes, number 1, you broke your finger. Number 2, don't do that. If you're doing something that is hurting you, stop doing it. If somebody's doing something to you, yeah. I'm Black Dragon. Now, don't you find it hard to like those things? I don't have a smoker to do bacon. I do, on the other hand, I've got a dehydrator to make my own beef jerky. I'm not a professional at it. I simply use a combination of soy sauce, not a good option, but soy sauce and Worcestershire sauce. Right. But I'll buy a roast, slice it down, so I marinate it for a day in the sauce, and then put it on the dehydrator for as long as it takes to dehydrate it. Net result, I end up with homemade jerky. Works out well from my standpoint. Speaking of which, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, like you did that. Yeah, I got a bunch of onion out front that I've got to dehydrate before it goes bad. But as I said, I've got a whole list of things here that I've got to deal with. Bunch of writing I'm going to be working on. And like I told this buddy that I'm going to co-create a story with. I'm going to get the baseball down on it. Uh-oh. Does this mean you don't like onions there in football? Now rest assured, I dehydrate them as well. Oh. Black Dragon goes, I have a high metabolism. My body burns away everything before it can affect me too much. Absolutely. I've got essentially the same problem. And yeah, there's no problem there, football. You'll be happy to know I don't cook for other people. Heck, I don't cook for my own kids most of the time. Primarily because I got no sense of taste, no sense of tough timing, and no sense of space. This makes cooking problematic. My metabolism works at such a level that I'm absolutely immune to local anesthetic. It's annoying. Couple that with PTSD. You don't go and talk to the doctors. You don't go and talk to dentists. That said, I strongly recommend, unless you have a personal reason for not going, and I don't mean, well, I don't trust doctors. That may well be the case, but I will tell you this. Modern doctors have more information and more understanding than what you may have. In my case, they haven't got a prayer of understanding what's going on, so I don't try and explain it anymore. Okay, but when you're taking a look at it, it's kind of funny we ended up looking at health. Health is extremely important, and like I said, Philip, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The reality of it is health, your physical health, your mental health is imperative to stay on top. In all fairness, Philip, I look at doctors, whether they're modern doctors or your so-called naturopaths or shamans, doesn't matter. If they've got more information than I do, I will talk to them, but I will question everything. Okay, not because I know more than they do, but because I know me more than they do. There are some directions that people give me, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. A friend of mine came over. I was having real trouble getting my back to straighten out. A friend of mine who happens to be very versed in naturopathic medicine came over, took one look at my spine and went, here's a couple of things to do to put your spine back. What just showed up? Oh, bonus. That'll explain that. So all in all, when I'm looking at doctors, when I'm looking at scientists, doesn't matter what. If you're looking at a field you don't know, defer to the people that are trained in it. Okay, this does not mean take their input as absolute gospel that they're definitely right. Even with me, when I tell you this is what I feel or this is what I know, okay, do understand. I'm not saying take my word for it. I'm telling you point blank, question everything, myself included. Sometimes I cannot give you an explanation, okay, but I'll tell you why I can't. I had one person years ago, they looked at me and went, can you explain the OT drive to me? I went, technically, yes. But I said, the problem is, do you understand a thing about triphasic interpretation? And the person looks at me and goes, what's that? I said, we have a problem. If you don't even understand that, my explaining the OTE drive, the oscillator densification of the tritranslocation equipolarity, I cannot begin to explain what I'm talking about. You cannot learn to read if you do not know the alphabet. Okay. Absolutely, Black Dragon. Everything you come across. Now, Phil's asking, did those couple things work? And the answer is yeah. This is why in less than 24 hours, I was able to walk functionally comfortably again. My back's still a little sore, but I put it out a long way. Matter of fact, according to her, when she took a look at it, it was out by a good 1.5 inches, which is really wonderful fun. Not. The reality of it is this. We have a world in the palm of our hand. We can change that world when we work together. If we choose to work together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, as we're winding down here, a couple of things. Okay, if you like the stream, do give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. I will be back again tomorrow. And Joe, this is directly for you at your request, in all fairness. Tomorrow, You had asked a while ago, and it's been postponed because, well, frankly, I got ill. Well, more to the point, yeah, I did. But tomorrow, we are going to be looking at how to cope with social media once you've been suspended. Now, understand, I am not technologically inclined. This said, I will tell you how I work with it, and I will certainly relay the information that shows up in the chat room. Okay, and Philip goes, imagine when we have 3D printers for vertebra replacement. We will have them. At this stage, you're looking about 30 years down the road. We've already got most of it. It's the medical that hasn't quite caught up. But they still believe that you can't regenerate nerves, or more to the point, that's what they still tell people. I'm living proof that's wrong. But with that in mind, guys, we're hitting the 2 hour. Oh, no, we got about 5 minutes here, so I'm not going to shut her down quite yet. But, again, I've listed off a few rooms in the chat room here. Okay, drop in, give them a listen. If you like what they're saying, do give them a thumbs up, and then subscribe to the channel. Share the daylights out of it. And the same with here. If you'd be so kind, that'd be great. I will be looking into monetizing pretty quick. Okay, but until then, if you are something that I do work with, I have never been known to turn down money. Okay, if you are looking at helping support the channel or helping grow the healing center I'm working on, or the publishing company, the email address I just listed, innervoiceenterprises@yahoo.ca. Okay, that's the best email to get a hold of me at. If you're looking for a copy of the email, a copy of the newsletter, whether it's email or hard copy, doesn't matter. Same email address. Okay, and this here is, where are we here? This here is my website that has 7 out of the 8 books actually listed on them. On it. Okay, these are all available directly to me, through me. Okay, and again, that email address works on PayPal. Now, I've heard of some complications. In Canada, direct email transfer works, usually. Okay, Hawk Moon, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Okay, yeah, I really am happy you guys have dropped by to share your time with me. And I really do look forward to seeing you again very shortly. Between tonight and tomorrow's show, I will have the next couple of shows laid out. What have we got? Usually, Jenny, when I go and deal with the off-worlders now, I am usually working in a mediation and or interpretive context, helping them either understand each other or understand humans. Now, the reality of it is, because of the fact I do not look at anybody as being less than another. Okay, I treat everybody exactly the same way. Okay, and if you ever meet me in person, you'll find the same thing. I don't just talk like this on the computer. This is the way I am in face-to-face meetings as well. But most of the time, when I'm dealing with them, it's usually because of a misunderstanding, or they're trying to understand and they're just not sorting it out. But because I won't let their prejudices bother me too much. I was dealing with one person the other day, and I did bite my tongue. I had to. Okay, in deference to the people around me. But I don't handle prejudice, and I certainly, as many doctors have confirmed, I don't handle stupidity well. Now, this is not to say I'm better than anybody. Quite frankly, I'm probably one of the most complicated people to get to understand. But with that in mind, the best thing I can tell you is, regardless of who you're talking to, treat people the way you desire to be treated. Now, with that in mind, I'm going to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with me today. I will be back again tomorrow, And tomorrow we're going to talk about how to cope with what happens when you get cut off from social media. Okay. Now, I'm certainly willing to listen to other people's input, but we will cover that tomorrow. Nathan, thank you so much. And again, I will be on the horn to you right away. Yes, I did see your email, and I will be getting to it right away here. That being said, guys, thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Until we meet again, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.